Hello and welcome. This is Adam, and today I'm going to be talking about my research summary for the class Global Security and Fusion. So for my topic, I chose the topic of the Indonesian tsunami, or the Indian Ocean tsunami, as it is better known. The Indian Ocean tsunami was a catastrophic disaster that happened in the year 2004, was widely seen as an international crisis, and resulted in an international response. Part of this response was through NGOs and through other international organizations, but of course part of this response is military as well. And this was a catastrophic disaster that allowed for a multilateral military response that sometimes gets criticized, but that was overall effective in resolving this situation. And therein lies my thesis statement. So there are critics of the involvement of world militaries in the disaster in Indonesia as a result of the Indian Ocean tsunami. I would here argue that a lot of times, while those critics are arguing from principle, or out of a genuine skepticism of military involvement in disasters, that overall, those world militaries, I'm focusing here specifically on Japan, Australia, and the United States, had response capabilities, and by virtue of being allies, the United States is an ally with Australia and has military bases in Japan as per a status of forces agreement going back to World War II. We're able to quickly resolve the crisis due to rapid deployment capabilities and due to the more centralized hierarchy of military forces. So you've got a bunch of NGOs running around, IGOs running around, etc. during that disaster, but they're all somewhat decentralized and are not able to collaborate and share information as neatly as those world military forces. Furthermore, Indonesia, and this is something we're going to be talking about to some extent as well, is a wildly decentralized state with a lot of different islands, languages, and tribes. This posed a challenge to every actor involved. One good part of the disaster, which I'll be focusing on here, is that it did allow a cessation of hostilities with some factions in Indonesia that weren't too keen on things that were happening there, and this allowed those hostilities to cease. And it did allow each of those foreign states and their militaries to serve their national interests. So Australia was able to exert better and more soft power influence in the region. The United States was able to solidify its role as a viable rival to China. And Japan was able to make a legitimate argument for the expansion of its military forces. So overall, this was a win-win scenario in which the capabilities of those three military forces, Japan, Australia, and the United States, allowed both a situation that would serve the national interests of those countries, and that would allow soft power influence, in addition to resolving a major international crisis related from an international disaster. Now, as to an important bit, last but not least, thankfully I chose a topic that there are a number of sources on. So as to those sources, I found a number of economics articles, geography articles, etc. from peer-reviewed academic journals that all discuss this issue. I can also engage with the critics of so-called disaster militarism as well, and tie this into my broader argument. So overall, I found a decent amount of sources, and am able to make a coherent argument that the role of military forces served a generally positive purpose in the resolution of a disaster in Indonesia as a result of the Indian Ocean tsunami. Most of the articles I found focused on Aceh, Indonesia, so that's largely what I'm going to be focusing on as well, though I may wish to make a broader argument. Let me know if there are any sources that you recommend, or if in general there are any ways I can perfect my argument. Many thanks and much appreciated. This is Adam Arthur, signing out from this video.